The once busy warehouse now falls deathly still, the smell of crimson still in the air. You and your group of adventurers sweep through the building for anything of value. As you turn the place over, you come across a small storeroom, and your keen eye catches a suspicious seam in the floor. You kick aside some loose debris to reveal a trapdoor in the stone floor. With little hesitation, you fling it open, revealing a ladder that descends into darkness. It appears the smuggler still has more secrets to uncover. The next leg of this dungeon takes the players underground. Beneath the trapdoor in the warehouse, they find a ladder that leads down to a narrow stone platform, and just beyond the platform is an underground river. This is how the smuggler got their goods in and out of the city. There's a small boat tied to the platform that's just bobbing in the water. It's just tempting your players to explore. The southern direction of the river takes the players out to a secret cove near the port of the city. You could always put some guards down there or a small hideout, some kind of easy encounter. But if they head north, deeper into the underground canal, they'll find that the smuggler has been hiding a well-protected lair. I described to my players that they traveled 20-30 minutes down this narrow cavern, the boat barely fitting. They had to duck to make it through the tunnels, and that every once in a while it was bumping back and forth off the sides of the rocky cavern tunnel. Eventually they find two openings in the tunnel wall, one on their right and one on their left, but the underground canal does seem to continue deeper into the darkness. This gives you plenty of fun possibilities to tie into a major plot, or lead them to a mega dungeon if you feel up to it. Alright, so back to the players in their boat. They have a choice: continue down the river, into the darkness, go left, or go right. In this episode, we'll talk about what's on the right-hand side, the Hideout of Horrors. This underground hideout is made up both of natural caverns and man-made cut stone walls. For flavor and making combat more interesting, I made parts of the floor rough terrain and added a pit in the middle of the cavern area. Now, you could run this just as a functioning hideout with goons in it and call it a day, but I thought adding a dark twist could spice it up and add some mystery, and it helps tie into a bigger story I already had planned and was seeding earlier in the campaign. The halls and caverns of the hideout are eerily quiet. Just the sound and occasional drip break the growing tension. As your players explore, maybe one of them catches the reflection of glowing eyes from their torchlight, or maybe they hear some strange moan or gurgling noise down one of the hallways. Something is in here with them, but it doesn't seem human. At least not anymore. There are broken boxes and glass, residue of some liquid on the ground. It seems the smuggler was transporting something vile, and there's been a contamination. So now the players find themselves in an unfamiliar area, underground, surrounded by an unknown enemy. You can just feel the panic building. For my encounter, I had a few low-level mutated goons show themselves first. For fun, I had them crawling up the walls and over the ceilings, a la aliens, each round adding a new enemy for the first 2 to 3 rounds. Then I had the big boy, a big mass of flesh rolling onto the battlefield. This creature is covered in gnashing mouths and tentacles. Looks to be the poor soul who dropped the crate. Give this flesh blob some kind of breath gas weapon so they have an area of effect and range. My players ended up pushing Mr. Fleshball into that pit we talked about earlier. Fun. After the combat, if they survive, I created some fun areas to explore and another hidden threat. We can't just let them get past one fight that easy. I included a locked-off library/altar. Inside, there's a dead body on the floor. Looks to be some kind of spellcaster or mage. For my game, I had one of my players feel this otherworldly pull, like a heartbeat, drawing him closer to the room. And as he got closer, the pull and the thump got louder and louder, but only for them. Once inside, they search the dead body, and on the mage they find this dark crystal talisman. And for our game, this became a way for him to multi-class into a warlock, after this dark pool from beyond. In another back room, I put a locked chest underneath a table. This contains a bunch of the smuggler's personal effects as well as a magical dagger. For my case, I had the dagger allow the user to cast Misty Step. You can flavor it however you want, but it's a nice reward after coming all the way down here. I put in a bunch of gold and platinum, as well as a disguise kit and thieves' tools. Kind of think of it as it was the smuggler's personal chest if they had to make a quick escape, some gear that they would want to use on their way out. But yeah, flavor it for whatever is appropriate for your party and whatever you think would be enticing to them. I also put in a bunch of letters on the desk that lead into the next encounter as well as tie into my overall story. So feel free to put down clues and things that will tie the characters in and the players in more and more. Now, before we leave this room, let's talk about that hidden threat. In this back corner, I have a dead body slumped against the wall. I described it as the head was almost completely ripped apart, the top of the skull missing, and tendrils dripping down to something on the floor that looks almost like a giant mutated brain. And that's what I made the monster for this room. It's a brain that's still attached to the corpse, and when they came back into this room, it springs to life and attacks them. I homebrewed the stats. You can feel free to just make it any kind of creepy tentacle brain monster that you want. What I did for this is, as they were coming back down the hallway that led to this room, I had them make perception checks, and whoever rolled the highest, they spotted something kind of wriggling down in the floor beneath the cracks. And this actually, if they follow it, leads back to the brain creature as well. Just make it really creepy, just up the horror, up the ambience, that dread. Something creepy and awful has happened down here. For me and my players, it turned into a really fun encounter. I recommend just really building up that creep factor, that sense of mystery about what happened down here. Describe the enemies just in this kind of unnatural movement, a cross between something that used to be human and is now monstrous. Really build up that horror, and I hope you and your players have a wonderful time with it. In the next video, I'll talk about what's on the left side chamber from the water canal, and we'll see what the smuggler's been hiding in their warehouse.